Our April release featured our Slim Mermaid, and she has been so fun. And I did this with Copic markers and just added a bunch of swirls around the side. And we've got so many new products that we can enjoy for all of our oceanfront uh, card stamping. And I just wanted to make a quick reference. The January catalog had quite a few of our lovely oceanfront type stamps that were part of the watercolor series, and those videos showed a lot of watercolor options with it. And now we can enjoy any of those along with these new ones. And so we've got mermaids, we've got an ocean frame, and we've got more ocean messages to go with the other ones that we had. This is the ocean sayings. And then our funny little characters here, more mermaids. These are our mermaid pals, and they're very funny. So let's show you a couple of things. And then all of this, are going to play with the new Mermaid C embossing powder kit. And this 5-jar kit has all clear embossing powders so that we can enjoy using them on our mermaid cards and our underwater scenes. So let me show you just a couple other samples here, and then we'll do some embossing. So just real quick, the previous watercolor sets, this one was a similar one that worked great with the dome jar. And this one we made a little diorama with the windorama for a little sea view. And with the whales and the shells, we can do so many fun things with them. So here were a couple other fun things that I wanted to show you. So using the new ocean sayings, I put them all together, and where I had little openings, I just took my pen and added some little dots. And you can cut out the little flip-flops if you like. And I thought this was a fun new discovery that I could take the windorama die and insert it to the middle of an A2 card. And it folds going up like this, so it goes flat and still fits in my A2 envelope. And it displays beautifully, and since you see the top, I put a little message up there as well. This one now uses all of the messages that are a part of the ocean frames. Let me pull it out here. Oh, here, I'll just reference it here real quick. The ocean frames has all of these messages, and those will also be enough to create a background pattern. And with this one, I used the frame dies, the pop frames, and the scene was designed so that it would fit this. And you just have to stamp them separately and spread them out a little bit. I stamped the sand a couple of times, and it fills in beautifully. And you could also cut your windows as well as pop up your messages on it. So here with our mermaid pals, on this one I did Copic marker colors, and I just used my markers to kind of follow the swirls of the water. And you have the one design that does the water, but you can turn it all different directions and overlap it. And on this one, for the background, I just did some sponging of blue, and I haven't trimmed it back yet, but this will give me a good one to work on here to enjoy playing with our beautiful new Mermaid C embossing powders. Let me point out a couple of things I did on this one. So with this one, and again, I'll mention with all of our 5-jar kits, the colors are identified in the order they come in the package. And if you want to keep them identified separately, right at the beginning would be the time to cut apart these little stickers and put each label on the jar in the order that they come in the package. And if you haven't had our 5-jar, the way it's sealed, the easiest way to open it is simply to slide your craft knife through that side area of the sticker. But these little stickers will pull off. You can cut them and identify each one. So the ones that are new are the Sea Mist tinsel and the vintage blue tinsel we've had, and it is clear, and so is the deep sea tinsel, which is the other new one. These two look quite similar in the package, but they are two different shades, particularly noticeable when you melt them. And then we have the blue tinsel and aqua tinsel. And again, the tinsel implies lots of glitter. So I've got a couple of scrap papers here. And on this one, because they're all clear, I was able to just sprinkle across my mermaid. I used some of the lighter colors across the top part of the card, and then I went with the darker colors at the bottom so that you could still see her beautiful hair and everything. So the vintage blue just has all of these large glittery particles in them that are just so fun. So let me move that out of the way. I've got some scrap paper here to catch my extra powders. I'm going to start with the vintage blue and get lots of sparkle up here at the top. If you don't mind, if you want to work with each color and put the excess back in a jar, then a separate folded paper for each color would be helpful. But and in this case, I'm doing all the sprinkling method. Now you have a Versa marker, and if you wanted to use your large brush tip and follow the curves of the stamps, you could do that. But I think it's easier with the method that I'm going to show you to simply do some sprinkling. So since I don't have, I pretty much just got all of it on my card, I'm going to go ahead with my next color. And I'm just going to sprinkle here and there. And then I'm going to add each of the next darker colors, working kind of from light to dark. If I heated it now, it would be pretty much what you see is what you get. See, I'm going to add some more of the Sea Mist up here. And if I just wanted to even it out, I could just sort of tap on the back. But I'm going to add some more powders, and then I'm going to move it around with my brush. And so for this technique, I don't want any adhesive or anything sticky underneath, which means we'll have to heat it all from the back. Leaving this extra panel at the bottom is helpful just to hang on to it. Okay, now I'm taking a brush that has a good size point to it, and I'm actually going to get my clip tool on this in the middle here to support it. And I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to move it around following the swirls. Look at this. Isn't that fun? And I kind of opened up too much in there and I kind of wobbled funny, so that's okay. We're just going to add some more right in that area. And then I have another chance to create some swirly lines here. Okay, so play with it until you like the look of it, because you can move it all around. I could decide I didn't like how this looked at all. I could tip all the powder off, and if I didn't mind having a premix of powders, I could do it again. But I think that looks pretty good. So I should have had my heat tool in reach, but I'm going to risk setting it down very careful. And again, the clip tool or tweezers make a big difference. Picking it up carefully. We'll take a look at it to see if it all looks shiny. So it didn't take much coloring at all because all the beautiful colors of the embossing powder really made a statement there. So I hope you might try that fun technique. You can do the simple sprinkling or play in it with your brush. And I'll cross-reference this one. Was done in the same way with only the light blue, but just opening up those swirls makes a very fun look. So with this card, you can see I cut out just the head and shoulders here of our little mer kitty and our mer unicorn, and that made them look like they were coming up out of the water. And there's a lot of very fun and clever messages in the set as well that you will enjoy. And then I wanted to show you a real fun little card that I made here using the center step template. And it just came out so fun, like she's visiting the aquarium here. And so let me show you a couple of things with that real quick. So we provided a download for two different sizes. There's the center step card and the large. The large one is printed here, and the file could be sent to your printer to where you print on, let's say, the smooth side of the paper, and it gives you all the instructions and the dimensions to do the cutting and the scoring in particular places to create a larger version of this card. Then we also gave you the smaller size, which it turns out fits on only half of a sheet of paper. So I've added to the templates that when you print it out, you're going to have a much simpler layout, which actually, when cut in half, is going to give you two of this size card that fits in an A2 envelope. So the directions are on the full page, but instead of wasting half of a sheet of color paper, this way you have minimal printing, and the instructions are the same, where you're going to cut on the straight and score on the dotted lines. And this is easy enough to take to your slide cutter. You're going to cut it at 5.5, and then you're going to do the partial cuts and scoring. And we have another video that went into that more in detail. So for here, I'm just going to show you how this variation of it comes together. So when I stamped on it flat, and let's see, so here I did all of my water going all the way across, and I found I needed to stamp off of the edges up here so that when it comes back to a folded, you have more water on those side panels. Then I used an oval die to cut my little window. And then in the same way that we did the real clever little shaker cards, I've used a little cello bag. And I've simply taped it in place, larger than my oval. And I was able to cut it across at the top, and then I cut along the line of the wave here. I just cut through there. And the trickiest thing of all of this was sliding her in so that she's peeking up from the front and her tail is visible through the little window at the back. So getting it between the layers and tucking her little tail inside the cello bag Took like 3 hands, but once you get the idea of it, it's just a very fun little option there to play with our little mermaid kitty. Of course, it's only fitting that we do our mermaids here in watercolor. So I've pulled out my watercolors and I need to revive my colors, so I'm just going to spritz some here out of view. And we'll actually use our needle tip and squirt a little bit of water into our blue compartments there to get us rolling. And I've taken an A2 size panel and taped it down just with my masking tape. I've got my water over here. And I think since we're doing so much water here, and I'll just say I stamped with VersaFine, which is going to be ideal here for my watercolor. And I'm going to spritz the paper so that my colors will flow all the more readily. Get some good puddles going here. And get a puddle of my deeper blue as well. These are all the Daniel Smith colors, and this palette works so well. Down here I have already a mix of both blues with maybe a bit of green for some blue-green. So we'll add some water to revive that. These colors will revive with water and give us some beautiful shades of color. Okay, so since I have a dark blue on my brush, here's my little test panel. Oh, it's a beautiful blue. I'm going to start with that down here at the bottom, and then make sure I can do some lighter blue up here at the top. So by taping the edges, I can get some nice swirls of color happening here. Maybe we'll do some splattering. I don't want too many splashes up here, so I'm going to just set that down on top. Since it's wet on wet, it's all kind of mixing in, but this will give us some fun look, and we might add some salt. But anyway, you can see how quick and easy with watercolor to do a whole quick card here. And then I might want a bit of my light blue up here for the sky. So I'm going to get my brush really wet, kind of dab it around up here, and then add just a little bit more color for some blue sky. And I can lighten it around my message there. There we go, some little puffy clouds. Happy little clouds. uh, I'm getting a harder line up here than I like for my clouds, so I'm going to wet it again, and then I'm going to dab with a clean bit of tissue. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to let that dry. before I do any more of the painting in there, but you can see um, so many different ways to do this. I'll just stop there for now, but the point of my brush will allow me to get in and do some detail. And I would do a very similar approach with my mermaid here. And whether I wanted a taped edge or whether I wanted to go over that to the sides, kind of how I did with my brush markers, you can try all sorts of different things. And of course, your mermaid could be blonde or brunette, as well as I think the redhead that I did in the markers. So have some fun with your mermaids. So with lots of new waterfront theme cards and stamps and the Mermaid Sea, you can have lots of fun. And I think I'll work in another way to use my wonderful wood grain to look like something of the beach and maybe some flip-flops, all working their way down to the waterfront. So have some fun stamping.